Panthers fans, let's be real. How many more heart-pounding Sundays can we survive with Bryce Young at the wheel? One moment, he looks like the future of this franchise. The next, he looks like the same quarterback who was benched last season. That's the brutal truth of what we just saw against Jacksonville. The first drive gave us hope. 13 plays, steady command, Bryce moving with confidence, hitting his reads. It felt like a flashback to the end of 2024 when he looked reborn, ready to silence the critics. But instead of a touchdown, we settled for a field goal. In that moment, that single missed opportunity felt like a preview of what was to come. Because the very next drive, disaster. Second and short, Bryce has a wide-open lane to run. He could have easily picked up the first down and kept the momentum rolling. But he forces a throw, doesn't account for the defender lurking, and boom, interception. That's the Bryce Young we can't afford to see anymore. The one who hesitates. The one who forces it. The one who makes you hold your breath for the wrong reasons. And then came the fumble. 3rd and 8, running the ball, caught in two minds, slide or fight for more yards. Instead, he stumbles, coughs it up, and the Jaguars pounce. Moments like that kill drives, kill momentum, and kill belief in your quarterback. Here's the thing, though. It wasn't all bad. There were flashes. That gorgeous sideline pass to Xavier that should have been a highlight, only for his receiver not to get his feet down. A dime to T-Mac that would have been 6 if not for defensive holding. The numbers won't tell you the whole story. Bryce went 15 for 31 with 144 yards, a touchdown, and 2 turnovers. Compare that to Trevor Lawrence, who barely did more with a better supporting cast. So no, it wasn't a disaster. But it wasn't enough either. Bryce didn't play to the standard this team desperately needs. He showed sparks of greatness, the kind of plays that make you believe in him. But the inconsistency, the hesitation, the missed chances, that's what lingers. Right now, Bryce Young isn't horrible. He isn't hopeless. But he also isn't the answer yet. And until he figures out how to turn those flashes into full games, the Panthers are stuck living in this roller coaster of highs and lows. If Bryce Young's hesitation was frustrating, the offense around him only made things worse. Let's start with the obvious. This unit simply did not execute. And when your young quarterback is already trying to steady the ship, the last thing he needs is his supporting cast sinking the boat. The wide receivers were a mixed bag. T-Mac, reliable. Hunter Renfrow, battled and showed up. But outside of that, inconsistency reigned. Xavier had moments that could have changed the tone of the game, yet squandered them. That corner route, all he had to do was drag a toe. That's routine, something he's done dozens of times. Instead, it turned into another what if. And those screenplays? Instead of hitting the gas and getting upfield, Xavier danced, retreated, and turned what should have been positive yardage into wasted opportunities. Little mistakes like that add up, and they kill drives. Then there's the tight ends, or more accurately, the absence of them. Tommy Tremble and Jatavian Sanders barely made an impact. Weapons that could have been safety blankets for Bryce were ghosts, erased from the game plan. That's on coaching and execution alike. But nothing, and I mean nothing, was more damaging than the offensive line. With ICK, Ekwonu missing, protection was already shaky, but the spotlight shined brightest on the center position. Austin Corbett looked completely out of place. High snaps, wild snaps, mistimed snaps. Over and over again, Bryce was forced to adjust, waste precious seconds, and reset his eyes downfield. In the NFL, that half-second delay is the difference between threading a pass to a receiver and tossing one into coverage. And then came the drive killer. After J.C. Horn's interception gave the Panthers a chance to seize momentum, Bryce fired a beautiful ball to T-Mac up the seam. It should have been one of the plays of the night. Instead, it vanished from the stat sheet because Corbett, the center, drifted illegally downfield while the rest of the line stayed disciplined. One man, one mistake, a momentum swing erased. The run game didn't bail them out either. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Trevor Etienne, all talented backs, but too often they dance behind the line instead of attacking downhill. This isn't college football. You don't always get a cutback lane. Sometimes you just hit the hole hard, take the 3 or 4 yards, and live to fight another down. Too many runs stalled because backs were waiting for something that wasn't there. Against Jacksonville's front, hesitation was death. And the play calling? Vanilla. Predictable. Pedestrian. There was no creativity to disguise weaknesses, no rhythm to build Bryce's confidence. The Panthers didn't dictate the game. They reacted, and poorly at that. When you step back and look at the offense as a whole, it wasn't just Bryce Young struggling. It was a collective collapse. Receivers failing to finish, linemen sabotaging drives, running backs dancing instead of driving, and coaches refusing to adapt. One unit after another let the quarterback down. And when your offense plays like that, you're not just losing games. You're handing them away. If the offense left us shaking our heads, the defense didn't make things much easier. The Panthers' biggest weakness last year was their run defense. And guess what? It's still here, haunting us like a nightmare we can't wake up from. It started to unravel the moment Turk Wharton went down. First a concussion scare, then later a hamstring injury, and both times you could feel the cracks widening. Without him in the middle, Jacksonville smelled blood. Travis Etienne didn't just run. He ripped through the Panthers' front like it was paper. That 71-yard burst wasn't just one play, it was a symbol. A symbol of missed assignments, poor fundamentals, and a unit that still hasn't figured out how to finish tackles. And that's what stings the most, the tackling. Time after time, defenders flew in looking for the highlight hit, dropping shoulders into piles instead of wrapping up. It looked aggressive, but it wasn't smart. On Etienne's long run, the edge rusher went crashing in with his right shoulder, spinning himself to the ground and accidentally tripping his own linebacker in the process. Suddenly, two Panthers were out of the play, and Etienne was racing into daylight with no resistance. One decision, one bad angle, and a 71-yard disaster. It wasn't just that play. It kept happening. Shoulders instead of arms. It's instead of tackles. Effort without discipline. And when you don't wrap up, the yards pile up. Jacksonville turned broken plays into backbreakers. But the problems didn't stop with a run defense. The secondary had its own collapse, and one name stood out for all the wrong reasons. Nick Scott. Fans have seen enough, and honestly, so have I. On Jacksonville's first touchdown, his job was simple. Pick up the tight end crossing his zone near the goal line. Instead, he froze. He let the route flow untouched, watched the ball sail right where he should have been, and gave up a score that never should have happened. It was mental lapses like that, preventable, obvious lapses, that cost the Panthers dearly. Look, there were moments when the defense showed life, when the line held gaps, when linebackers flowed downhill, when corners tightened coverage. But those moments never lasted. For every stop, there was a breakdown. For every promise, a collapse. And you can't win in the NFL like that. Until this defense learns how to stay disciplined, to wrap up, to stay in lanes, to trust their assignments, every opponent is going to smell opportunity. And if the Panthers don't fix it fast, games will keep slipping away the same way Etienne slipped through arm tackles. Way too easy by the time the final whistle blew. One thing was clear. This fan base is split. Some still see promise, still believe this team can scratch and claw its way to relevance. Others are already sounding the alarms, saying the same problems keep dragging Carolina down year after year. And honestly, both sides have a point. Take Bryce Young, for example. The first drive gave a glimpse of what he could be, composed, sharp, in rhythm. But everything that followed brought back flashbacks of the Bryce who struggled so badly early in 2024. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, and Panther Nation is wrestling with that reality. Is he the answer, or is he just another reminder of how far this team has to go? But it's not just about the quarterback. Fans are tired of seeing the same mistakes repeated, tired of wideouts not finishing plays, tired of linemen sabotaging drives, tired of defensive backs blowing coverages that Pop Warner kids could read. You could feel it in the stadium, you could feel it online after the game, and you could feel it in every voice venting about what went wrong. And yet, there's still hope buried in the frustration. That one-handed interception by J.C. Horn, that was the kind of play that shows you this team can make game-changing moments. That wheel route to Hunter Renfrow that almost connected, proof that the opportunities are there if execution meets preparation. It's easy to panic after week one. It's easy to throw away an entire season after one ugly performance. But football isn't about one Sunday. It's about growth, resilience, and finding a way to turn mistakes into lessons. Right now, this Panthers team looks like a puzzle with half the pieces forced into the wrong places. The talent is there. The glimpses of brilliance are there. But until the picture comes together, frustration is going to keep boiling over. In the stands, in living rooms, and in every corner of Panther Nation. The question now is simple. Will this team finally learn to put it all together? Or will 2025 just be another chapter of almosts and what ifs?